Hello and welcome to week 3 of the LCS. It's time for day 2 here as we've got some Sunday afternoon action lined up for all y'all. Later on today, Dignitas is going to try to punch up and take down Team Liquid Alienware. However, before that, we have another head-to-head that we need to resolve. Shopify Rebellion. We heard the lounge talking about it. They haven't had a lot of stage time so far this year. They've only got to play 10 games. Every series has been a 2-0 one way or the other, and now they're up against LYON, our representatives over at First Stand, and they're going to have to really show what they're made of to take them down. I'm Captain Flowers, that's Azael, and this is Shopify versus LYON.
I'm excited for it. You know, I was hanging out, obviously doing the interview with Inspired and then Contracts, so you kind of chat with the coaches and players and stuff as you're standing over there. And Shopify was in a pretty good mood. You know, Demonte was saying, hey, scrims went really well this week. He's like, maybe didn't win them all, but we learned a lot, and he was feeling pretty good about
Loses
it.
improve.
Exactly, and Contracts was kind of on the same page when I was chatting with him. He was saying he was feeling really good, and things have been, you know, moving in the right direction with him and Zinni as a duo. So it's always good to hear from our teams. You want to have competitive games, you want to have exciting games. And a lot of the usual suspects are banned out. It is looking like it's just going to be Seraphine Ashe. And the question is, do we get a more aggressive answer, or is it just Corki Nami as a response? I feel like Lulu, Yunara, to me, has kind of gone down a tier. It's just the lanes are just not going well for that duo.
I'm just going to say, man, Yunara is butt in North America. Like, that champion, every time I see it locked, it's just lose. Like, I do not have any faith in NA Yunara right now. The Seraphine Ashe locked in. We saw this yesterday, too, during the first series. The first pick jungler, or excuse me, it was the first pick Azir then into the Seraphine Ashe response, and it feels like if the first game of Fearless doesn't have one of these two banned out and you take a powerful solo laner or a powerful jungler first, the enemy team will immediately lock Seraphine Ashe, and it's just such a power response.
It is a really powerful response. I will say, if I am going to play into Seraphine Ashe, I want a good ganking jungler. And what did they get with their first pick? Pantheon. One of the best ganking junglers there are. So I do think that is a reasonable response. Corki Nami can win the 2v2 against Seraphine Ashe. I do think it's pretty skill-based. It's kind of, you know, up to, are you able to get these short, punchy trades and utilize your sustain as Nami, or are you going to get caught in an extended trade where Ashe and Seraphine can kind of train you down, and you're really going to be in trouble in that situation? I do feel like Corki Nami plays this somewhat similar as they do against Yunara Lulu. You know, it's all about those level 1s and stacking lethal tempo and being able to get an extended trade for the Ashe. So I think it's definitely winnable. They have a powerful ganking jungler, and we are not going to have parity in the picks because Doppler is going to be grabbing Rumble for himself. Can work well, obviously, with some of the CC that's already being provided by the bot lane, but you are looking probably for, you know, a frontliner. Champions like Xin Zhao that are already banned out are pretty high prio. You're thinking also about things like Jarvan, like Wukong, like Vi, that are going to be able to get in there and benefit from the Seraphine Encore.
And I'm glad that you listed 3 separate champions, because when you pick this in the place that they picked it in the first game of Fearless, there's just so much available. It's not like even if they spend both of their bans, like getting rid of some of those aggressive AD divers, it's not like you're getting rid of all of them. You literally do not have enough choices to be able to remove everything from the pool. So Ornn is going to be the ban from LYON. That is one of those champions that gets drafted into Rumble, not as a, I'm going to counter you, but just as, I'll survive just fine, I'll get Kaenic Rookern, I'll be more useful in team fights with the Ornn
and then
Horn,
I'll scale.
And then it will not matter. But over on the other side, Shopify is going to go ahead and target that jungle pool. They'll get rid of the Jarvan, remove the hot pot combo with the Rumble.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing I was thinking might have gotten banned out would have been actually the Galio, because you can obviously Galio ult in on the Pantheon's head if they go in. But Ornn and Bessa, 2 champions that do combo really, really well with the Pantheon. Obviously, you can have the Public Execution as a follow-up from Pantheon stun. Ornn is going to give Shopify primary engage, which right now they're lacking, and that I think is why they targeted that as a ban instead of things like the Galio or the Scion, which are other tank options that people do sometimes go to. And it is just going to be the Jarvan and the Skarner ban. So you're thinking about Vi, you're thinking about Wukong, you're thinking about champions along those lines, and I think Inspired's going to probably pick something out of those couple.
Yeah, I really like the idea of the Wukong. Again, the fact that they're targeting Jarvan and Skarner specifically, which is not a common ban, shows that they're looking at the AoE combos that work in unison with the Rumble ulti. Wukong is another one of those. I feel like he's just kind of the obvious answer here to what they're banning away, like what you want to do, and that's what they'll lock for Inspired.
And it's also one of the champions that I always really kind of associate with Inspired, and it just feels like it fits the bill. You know, I hadn't actually checked the stats before I said that, but I just looked, and out of his top played champions, it is the highest win rate out of his top 15 or something, almost 77% win rate.
76.9, but I'm going to call it 77.
Yeah, which actually does not surprise me at all. Wukong is a champion that benefits a lot from gold, spikes hard at 6, you know, can scale incredibly well, and is a super powerful team fighter that can both initiate and have individual outplays with the clone, dodging CC, and I feel like that is all what Inspired wants to do. He wants to keep his economy high, he wants to be able to team fight incredibly well, and he wants to be able to make individual outplays, so I feel like this fits the bill incredibly well. Sion is one of those answers that I had mentioned for the Rumble, but is worse as a primary engage tool. You know, you are lacking a little bit as far as that goes, but a lot of ability to play towards side lanes with the Rise, with the Pantheon, with a pretty powerful 2v2 on bot side. I do like the go buttons more for LYON with Ash Arrow, with, you know, the Wukong engage. I think that is pretty powerful. Obviously, Azir can find angles as well. So I'm kind of slightly favoring what LYON has, but Shopify can play really strong early game with what they have drafted. They can play heavily through lanes if they get out to a good start, you know, play through those side lanes with the Rise. So I feel like both teams are set up quite well.
And one thing that I always look at when you've got Seraphine in a composition is you need to have 1 or 2 bruisers or tanks on the front line because you can always shoot the Encore through them and get the extra range. You can get the extra efficacy off of that. And I think that specifically for LYON, I also really like this because we know how much of a shot caller Inspired is. We know how much he wants to orchestrate exactly how the team is moving, how they're engaging, how they're behaving. And so him being able to say, okay, Isles, as soon as you see me go in, shoot Encore through me. And you can also shoot it through his clone. So I think that there's a lot of potential here for the Wombo combo with the Seraphine and the Wukong to be truly devastating. So that lack of engage from Shopify, I feel like the pressure is on them. You're saying that they have strong side lanes, and I agree. But again, this is a team that I feel like almost all of us, if not all of us, had power ranked bottom 3 at the start of the split. They're a team that was eliminated first back in split number 1. They have a lot to prove. And generally, when you're one of those teams that's ranked lower, the side lanes are more difficult to play. So the pressure's on.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true, right? You know, it is a more difficult composition to play. It's not as though they have no engage, but you know, flash stun from Pantheon, the Sion ulting straight in, flash root from Zinni. They're not the kind of engages that you really want to be reliant on, right? They're like, it's more of like, oh, I caught you out in a 1v1 rather than like, this is how I start the 5v5, right?
You can do it. It's just not.
Doesn't usually work.
Yeah, it's
in a 5v5.
It almost always depends on a summoner spell too, right? Yeah. Like, that makes it a little bit rough. So, all right, we're into game number 1 now. We've got both of our junglers starting on their respective chicken camps. And again, a lot of my attention is just going to be on this bottom lane, this Ashe Seraphine. It's been such a terror. It's so powerful in the bottom lane. And you talked about in draft, the responsibility of Corki and Nami is to take short, punchy trades that doesn't allow Ashe and Seraphine to utilize their extended power effectively.
Exactly. You know, it's all about that. And then using the Nami W, try to get multiple bounces, heal back up. You want to take these trades consistently so you're getting the most out of your sustain. I want to take a little bit of time to talk about contracts, though. Week 1 versus Dignitas, he went deathless. He played incredible against them. And week 2 against TL, in that second game, his Poppy was insane. I feel like he has been a really impressive carry for Shopify, and when he is on point, man,
I love this graphic.
He can carry the team. You know, Contracts at his best is one of the very best junglers in NA ever. Like, this guy's high roll, it is crazy. So I have to watch out for him. Here he is.
Yeah, he's arrived into the bottom lane as Berserker and Isles try to get away. Isles is your target immediately. Contracts lays down a little bit of damage, but honestly, LYON's bottom lane gets away. It does cost both summoner spells from Isles, but he lives.
He lives, and they are going to be pretty happy to get out of there. But that being said, this was 3 camps straight bot, and there's no cross or anything happening right now from Inspired. Obviously, he's going to be a little bit up-tempo, but Contracts is going to go back to base. He's going to have that longsword. He's going to go out and continue clearing those camps. And this is what you want to do. You know, I talked about it in draft. When you are going to allow your opponents to have Seraphine Ashe, you need to gank them. Like, that is how you put the pressure on. They have no dashes. They're very vulnerable to getting attacked. You know, the disengage is not the greatest pre-6, and so he is able to get down there and trade, you know, his flash for those couple summoners from Isles. So now Isles and Berserker are going to have to play a lot more carefully, and we'll see if they can find something with that.
And the big thing that I'm going to be looking for then is, now that you know that Isles is vulnerable, on this champion that does not have any natural inbuilt mobility, once Contracts hits level 6, you're going to get 3 levels before Seraphine's flash comes back up. Maybe not her heal, but definitely her flash. So you should be able to make a visit back to that bottom lane with the Grand Starfall and find something.
And even Realm Warp could get involved, right? And then all of a sudden there's 4 members coming down, right?
Yeah.
You know, Zinni could go down there, and you could really try to slam that home. So would love to see that. I fully agree. It's often with summoner spells, it's not about getting the summoner spell, it's about what you do with that missing summoner spell.
Right.
And
it's a down payment.
Exactly. Contracts is hanging around here. Inspired is there as well. And of course now Contracts is spotted, and he does not know that. His Vision Plant did not actually hit it, but look where Zinni's playing. He's playing towards that top side of the lane. So even though they did not see Inspired, they are going to be pretty aware of it. Excuse me, no, they did see him walking in on the Raptors. So both teams should be fully aware of where the enemy jungler is.
And whenever I see Azir into one of these immobile mid laners like Ryze, I'm always watching if the jungler will be able to force Ryze's flash before level 6, because that really sets up Azir to be able to make a big explosive move with a return gank as soon as he has his ultimate available. But right now, it looks like LYON are not going to be given the opportunity to make that play. Like you're talking about, Inspired was lurking around mid. He was trying to find something, but just couldn't get the angle that he needed. So that means that Zenny's going to stay safe down there. Checking back in on the bottom lane, Bvoy and Seos feeling pretty comfortable after Isles lost those summoner spells. It gives them just this extra confidence to play aggressively and push forward.
Yep. I'm a little bit surprised they still haven't based yet, though. You know, Berserker and Isles did base at that timing, so I think we're going to see them now go back to base, and we'll see how good of a buy they do get. Berserker is holding the wave for now, so going to be a little bit annoying. You know, eventually that will start to push back. The wave's going to stack, and since it's cannon wave, but Bvoy decides he doesn't actually want to lose any minions, so they do keep delaying that base, and it does mean that, yes, they are going to get pushed. Yes, they are creating this nice little CS advantage, but at the same time, the heal is almost back up, and you haven't even spent your gold to try to be able to put yourself in a position where you can maybe punish that missing summoner.
Well, he will force the wave into the turret, so no more freeze there for Berserker. You can see about a 200 gold lead for Bvoy as he does finally take the back. And like you said, I'm very curious what the purchase is going to look like. Does the fact that they stayed for that extra wave change what Bvoy is able to buy? He gets a tier, he gets a sheen, he gets a refillable. Honestly, pretty good purchase.
Yep, nice purchase for sure for Bvoy. A good even gold amount. Going to be pretty happy about that. But Berserker is going to be able to get the wave in as well and reset, so they're not going to be able to jail him or anything like that. And Contracts will spot Saint moving over towards the side. He's going to get eyes on Inspired as well, as both these junglers, not yet 6, but obviously Inspired wanting to try to fight for this, and Seos is here.
Yeah, keep your eyes on Saint. Goes for the shuffle, but he misses it as Zenny flashes away. Now Saint's going to be your target. Contracts jumps in. Low HP on the Azir, but Saint still alive for now. Nice moves there from Zinni, using the summoner spells to avoid the initial engage from LYON's mid laner. But ultimately, both of them end up getting chunk low, but now multiple players from both sides are moving over. Inspired still only level 5, does hit level 6 now, taking out the Scuttle Crab. Flash over the wall there from Fudge, getting himself out of danger. Zinni still looking for Saint here. Saint manages to get himself away with the Shifting Sands, does not want to get caught in the Rune Prison.
I'm pretty surprised Fudge even bothered to roam down at that point. It just felt like the Scuttle was already lost. Fudge stayed top and actually pushed in the wave, which is totally a fine decision to make. Dokla had moved first, but then on the other side, your team has already kind of lost the fight, right? So him walking in on the top side, trying to actually harass Inspired does cost him his flash. We'll see if that ends up being relevant here later on. But it is just that slight advantage for Inspired. You know, Contracts did spend his time getting that early gank. It did not end up resulting in anything, and now the flash and heal are both back up for Isles. So no punish really on either side.
Yeah.
And it is just kind of this slight advantage for Bvoy and Seos that Contracts was able to earn, which I would say totally worth at the end of the day.
Okay, Seos and Bvoy stepping up, getting a lot of burst on a Berserker there who barely stays alive, levels up for a little bit of extra healing, but now there's your Grand Starfall. Contracts coming in, tries to flash follow, goes after Berserker, finds the kill. Now Inspired about to die. Seos gonna grab that one. It's a 2-0 for Shopify Rebellion. Even though the flash came back up on Isles, that don't matter. He's not the target. Inspired and Berserker both fall.
Really nicely done there, and it was honestly the bubble from Seos that set up so much of this, because that that made it point and click for the Foss Bomb, for the big one that was locked and loaded there from B-Boy, and he just chunked out Berserker so fast. Got him incredibly low, and then Zinni was on the roam. Contracts is coming in with the Grand Starfall. That is that overload play that we had been talking about. And again, it's all set up by this bubble. The bubble tags here, and then that means everything is going to hit. Berserker gets smoked. In comes the Grand Starfall. Zinni is there, so even though it's Inspired is around, it does not matter at all. They just turn on Inspired, and Zinni and B-Boy unload onto the LYON jungler. He gets rocked, and it's that 2 for 0 on the bot side.
Good. Play base now.
Yep, play base now, reset, everybody's good to go. And I want to go back to what you were talking about in the draft. Talking about Inspired on the Wukong. We mentioned he has a 77% win rate on this champion. You're talking about how he fits, or it fits his playstyle, because it spikes hard. It scales well with gold. It's something that as long as you control the tempo of the game, you can make so many outplays with. When you die on your first attempted play, that tempo is all out the window. This is really big for Shopify because Inspired was one of the deaths.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It's a big deal. You know, he is going to be set back a fair bit there. Thankfully, he did not waste his flash. You know, Inspired quickly recognized that it was a losing play. Just, you know, holds on to the flash. Obviously, he did use the Cyclone, but that is going to be back up here pretty soon.
Right.
It is about that 1,000 gold lead for Shopify. And I got to say, Fudge is doing really well on that top side.
Okay, bottom side though, Berserker again going to be in some trouble. B-Boy and Seos are running the show, 2v2. That's another one in their pocket.
Now that is a punish on the missing summoner there. Seos just flashing in, had the tidal wave, has the bubble. If you get tagged by that tidal wave, you are going to get bubbled, and then again, there's no way for Isles to peel for him. Isles is not 6 yet, so they just punish Berserker here so heavily with the experience advantage that Seos had, and with the knowledge that there are missing summoners there. That is a great play from B-Boy and Seos.
B-Boy and Seos stepping up where they need to. It's 90-69 in terms of farm. Berserker and Isles are just being put in a spot where it's so difficult to play the game, and they're on the Ashe Seraphine. It's not like this is a duo where you're expected to lose early and scale up later. Like, this is a powerful 2v2. Now, LYON, they're going to start up the first Drake of the game here 10 minutes in. It's a pretty late first Drake, but they will secure it without any answer from Shopify.
Yeah, nicely done. They found the timing there to be able to just get that dragon uncontested. And yeah, this is a great job by B-Boy and Seos. Obviously, Ashe Seraphine, really strong duo, but it has been about the ganks there. Early gank from Contracts, you know, putting them on the back foot. Then Zinni and Contracts getting down there to get that kill on Berserker. Then Seos, with that advantage, is able to find the flash in, punish Berserker for his missing summoners. And this is exactly what you want to do if you're going to give up the Ashe Seraphine. And it's what you have to be worried about if you're going to draft Ashe Seraphine into a first pick Pantheon, because Pantheon is exceptional at punishing these kind of lanes, and now Berserker is trying to bait for Inspired, but not quite going to find the angle, and they're going to commit the TP as well.
Wow.
That really sucks. They thought that they had him.
That's rough, man.
Did Berserker not have his arrow when he walked up there?
Oh. He might not have, but now, immediately the Grand Starfall, the response is there. Contracts has already found the first kill, but Zinni dies immediately right after. It's a 1-for-1 here at the very start. Inspired tries to get away. Contracts on the hunt, grabs the double kill. Inspired is already down. Contracts continues chasing, but he will be shut down now by Saint. The Azir still fighting. Finds a triple kill. LYON's mid laner stepping up right when the team needs him most.
Yeah, that is not good there for Shopify, as everything kind of had been going their way, but Saint walks away with a triple kill. He's going to get a play off the back of that. He's going to be going home with so much gold.
Oh, but now Dokla could be in a little bit of danger here. Fudge chasing after him, looking for the solo kill. Dokla at 100 HP does have to flash away. Doesn't want Fudge being able to flash, get the auto attack into an instant Soul Furnace proc or something similar. Dokla lives, but rough in the 1v1.
Yeah, Dokla lives, but I mean, this lane is not going well for him. We haven't really been talking about top lane because it's not been where the action is, but he's not going first strike to actually just farm gold. He's playing Comet, you know, more for that individual 1v1.
Bullying,
and
yeah.
he's actually down on gold. They're pretty much dead even, but you know, he was briefly there, down a couple gold. And that means Fudge is doing really well in his job. So this is after the initial kind of like failed bait. The Ashe Arrow does come out right onto Zinni as he arrives. They're able to get that kill onto Zinni. He just kind of realm warped in too far, to be honest, and Zinni gave up his life so quickly. B-Boy is being bought a lot of time here to get damage down, and it's a great bubble over onto Saint, but Saint just turns and takes the fight. B-Boy is pushed back. The triple is secured there for Saint. And watching that replay, a lot of it is really off of that Realm Warp.
Inspired's happy about it.
Yeah. Zinni's going to want the Realm Warp back. Let's just say that. I mean, he just went right into the middle of the team, and Berserker had that Ash Arrow immediately onto him, into the Cyclone. They burst down Zinni before he basically did anything, and Saint went back to base with 1,500 gold off of that. So that is pretty much his whole advantage.
I mean, it's one of the foundational building experiences of playing League of Legends. It's just saying, man, why did I click that? Right? And that's kind of where you're at if you're Zinni with that Realm Warp. So we'll see how well Shopify can play from here, but the lead that they had has almost entirely evaporated. They're up a couple hundred gold, but the biggest thing is the 1.7K individual lead for Saint and the just about 1,000 individual lead for B-Boy. So these are the two I'm going to be keeping my eye on the most in the upcoming fights.
Absolutely have to be eyes on those two carries. I think you're pretty sad if you're B-Boy that you got none of the kills, though, just the 4 assists.
Yeah, but now Shopify looking to make another play here. Inspired's going to be their target, trying to defensively Cyclone. Encore fly through, and Saint's already on a rampage. Seos is down, but so is Inspired. However, B-Boy falling means another double kill for Saint. The Azir is such a terror, but immediately Contracts and Fudge are ready to answer. Berserker and Saint both fall. What starts out as a 2-for-1 for LYON immediately gets suplexed, and Shopify come out +1.
And Berserker kind of realized, you know what, I'm useless this game. I'm going to die for my Azir. But unfortunately, the Scion ult hit the Azir anyway. It seemed like the detonation still did connect over. Saint spends his flash. Berserker holds onto his summoners, but does just walk into that Scion and ends up going down. And now Zinni looking to get behind Dokla.
Yeah, I mean, he does cut him off, but now Dokla's looking to just take the long way around. Unfortunately for him, it's more than just Zinni. With Contracts and Seos both hanging around and Dokla only at about 300 HP, there's not really any way out, so Contracts can pick that one up. Killing spree, level 10, easy peasy, nothing to it.
Yep, nicely done there by Shopify. They just corralled Dokla, who had overstayed on that top side. He wanted to try to get paid because they made this play on bot side, but it's actually so frustrating sometimes as a teammate when it's like, all right, Fudge TP'd down, made a good play, and then you look up, what is my top laner doing on the top side? Well, he's farming plates and overstays and just dies. So he didn't even get anything from it, you know? So it's a bit painful there, I think, for Dokla to be dying in this spot. But we can see this one more time. They obviously knew that Inspired was around, and Zinni's just waiting on this Vision Ward, gets the Rune Prison into the stun. They get so much early damage down on the Inspired that the fight is heavily losing right from the rip. Even with a great Encore, and Saint putting so much damage out onto B-Boy, they're able to knock him down, but Zinni is still full health, and this is where I'm talking about. He walks back into it. Berserker trying to block, but we got to go back to live, potentially have a fight there. But yeah, Berserker walked back into it, try to block for Saint. The damage ended up hitting Saint regardless, and they both end up going down.
It's a messy one. It's a little bit scrappy here in the early game. We're 16 minutes in. We got 14 kills, almost 1 per minute. So that's the kind of League of Legends I like to see, right? Lots of team fights, lots of scraps. Unfortunately now for us, though, we don't really have anything to fight over for the next 4 minutes or so. There's your MasterCard Power Spike with a Hollowed Radiance completed for Fudge on the Scion. So just going to make life that much more obnoxious for Dokla to try to deal with. You already talked about the Comet. Right now, LYON is going to try to make the play onto Zinni here in the top side. Inspired's first Cyclone won't even hit the knockup, but the second one gets the job done, and immediately the crushing blow secures the kill.
Able to grab a nice kill there onto Zinni, and Saint is just getting so far ahead. Yeah, B-Boy still has a decent lead, but again, B-Boy did not get a single kill in any of those fights. He has only assists, and so B-Boy is not accelerated nearly the same way that Saint is. Saint has been picking up plates, has been getting every single kill, and now just got turret gold as well, and that was the first tower of the game. So Saint is 3K up now at this point, and he's going to be going for a quick second item with the Rivalries. That's going to be done on base for sure, and he's going to be working in towards that third item, while Zinni is still very far away from his second.
The 3,000 lead is insane because the overall team gold is dead even. So the rest of Shopify in all of their different roles are 3,000 gold ahead, but Saint is so far ahead of Zinni that he offsets it. Now Contracts and Seos trying to make the play here, find a pick onto Inspired. They stun up the right Wukong. There's no clone left to try to save him. Contracts goes on a rampage, and honestly, Azael, this has not been Inspired's best look, not by a long shot.
No, he is getting caught out. And you also have to wonder, does Shopify Rebellion hate B-Boy because he now has 7 assists.
That's actually kind of crazy.
You can give a single one to your
Please give
Corgi.
Corgi the money.
Corgi is just a beggar on the side of the road.
Sir?
Please.
Spare a coin?
A single gold coin contracts, please.
God's like, don't worry, bud. We got this. 7-1 on the... Contracts has more kills than Lion's team.
Yeah.
He's 7 kills on the Pantheon. So that means, because you talked about how last week his game number 2 on the Poppy was super impressive. He had such a good game, and they ultimately ended up losing. Now here in game number 1 against Lion, he is so far ahead. He has all the kills. The responsibility is now with him. You've got to convert that to a win, because otherwise it should have gone to the Sarah McLachlan somewhere out in the world. A Corky is crying, and for just $1 a day, you can help him. Fun, right? Like, it should have gone to B-Boy if you don't carry this. So for contracts, that's what I'm looking at now. You have the responsibility. You have the resources.
You are not allowed to int. Your family is depending on you.
Exactly. You are the breadwinner.
Yeah.
Go win some bread.
He already won all the bread. Now he's got to do something with it.
Right, now we've got... What do you do with bread after you win it?
You eat it.
Okay, well, but I mean, technically, I guess he already ate the bread because he's taken all the kills.
Give it to the poor.
Okay.
He's got to give it to his poor teammates.
Yes, give the bread to Corky.
Dispense the bread.
Okay, the bread dispenser. We'll see how well he can dispense.
And do not dispense it to the other team,
those
importantly.
Lows. Yes, yes. If you give the other team the bread, you're going to have a problem. Isles immediately chunked low, taken out before the fight even starts. Isles with a defensive cyclone here. Contracts is about to die at the very start. Crushing blow takes him out. Meanwhile, off on the left, Shopify trying to kill Dokla, but they won't quite find the damage. Inspired falls to Zenny over the wall. Fudge barely staying alive. Lion trying to get something back, and Saint at least takes out Fudge there with the Emperor's Divide. Now Saint's got to try to get away from this one. Zenny still making a little bit of space for himself. Berserker, Dokla, they want to try to collapse here. And Zenny realm warps away.
That was nicely timed. Kills the minions right as the realm warp does proc. And I have been watching Sion for a million years. It never ceases to amaze me how much damage the zombie does. It's in the middle of 3 people, he almost killed Berserker.
I honestly think Sion is not a balanced champion, bro.
I would agree with you.
He's the tankiest character in the game, and then you get to be a carry after you die.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy. Contracts finds a pretty nice angle here onto Isles, but the flashback from Isles lands the charm. And then, unfortunately, the loaves have been dispersed to the other team. He's given the bread to Inspired. Inspired gets the 700 gold shutdown. And again, the problem with this fight is, great, you did kill off Inspired. Great, you did kill off the Seraphine, but Saint is not being touched at all, right? And Saint is so fed that at this point, you gotta have eyes on him.
Nami no flash.
That was just like full lock back in. He's laughing, he's having Nami no flash.
Yeah, that was the immediate just like whiplash of the mood right there, as now it's control over the bot side river for Shopify Rebellion.
Ooh.
Lion has claimed the first 2 Drakes. B-Boy hitting a nice little bit of chip damage there with the rocket, as Lion are still thinking about contesting this. It would be sole point if they could force Shopify back and make the play, but now B-Boy's going to get caught. Gets himself away with about half HP still left. Seo's trying to escape from Saint, who's chasing after that enemy support. The Cloud Drake is claimed by Contracts. Lion still fighting as a unit. Dokla grabs the kill into Fudge. B-Boy still barely standing at about 100 HP. The volley flies out, but it won't find the damage here just yet. Saint over the wall with the damage onto Zenny. Zenny takes him out, though. Lion manages to pick up the extra kill there onto B-Boy. It's a 3-for-1 for Lion, but Shopify takes the Drake.
The encore and the beat drop from Isles went crazy in that fight. It was through so many members, gets them all charmed up, then lands the root on multiple members through them as well. And now Lion, they are heading their way over towards mid lane, up towards that Baron. Let's watch this one more time. Inspired goes in. It looks like B-Boy is caught. This equalizer basically puts B-Boy entirely out of the fight. Now eyes on Isles. Watch the angle that he finds here with the encore. It goes directly through Fudge, directly through all 4. And then, now watch the beat drop here. The E going through, he steps forward. And I guess we skipped forward, unfortunately, so we didn't actually get to see that. But he rooted then all those people immediately after it. So that was perfectly done, setting his team up for success. And unfortunately for Shopify, great start, but the mid game leaving a lot to be desired, and they now are in a really tough spot. The death cap's almost completed for Saint. I feel like this lead is more than gone. They are in a tough spot. I feel like we should still play
to get good sides push out though, so we have like some sort of control.
Yeah, Shopify's got to get some sort of control because like you're talking about, Isles really stepping up there in that team fight, and I feel like Isles has been really showing what he's made of a lot so far this year. This is a player who for a long time was on lower ranked teams. He's up against Seos, who is one of the most accomplished players of all time from the Brazilian region. And when you look at their accolades overall on your screen right now, 3 international appearances versus 2. You've got 4-time CBLOL champion for Seos, 2 times first team All-Pro, 2023 MVP. And Isles, yes, he's the champion of lock-in here in 2026. He's a 2-time champion back in the OPL. But for a long time, this guy was so much of a what-if player, right?
Yeah.
Because he was never on one of those big rosters. And now on LYON, where he's got people around him that can really facilitate his plays, being able to shine that much more, I feel like he's really burning bright.
I completely agree. I think he's actually having a really good split thus far. And these are the opportunities you have to make the most of because, like you said, he's been in NA for a long time and has been bottom teams for a long time. And so when you finally get your chance, you know, you're called up to a big team, a team that has a chance to actually win, you better perform because that is your opportunity to change the narrative about yourself and to, you know, get more opportunities on these top teams to get where he wants to go, to be able to win titles, to go international. That's where he has been trying to get to for all these years.
Yeah, so you could see the Nami wave fired out by Seos there in the mid lane. Doesn't result in a whole lot, so everybody's just kind of going to reset those positions for now. Mikhail's Crucible, also purchased here for Seos. Very, very important item. Does kind of alleviate the pressure of the Berserker Arrow. As long as Seos is nearby, he can cleanse whoever that gets hit. Whoever that hits, excuse me. One thing I do want to check in on, though, remember that a little while ago we were talking about contracts, how he needed to carry the game. He was 7-1 on the Pantheon. Now he's 7-3 on the Pantheon. He has not been able to snowball that lead further.
Yeah.
Yes, he has his Guardian Angel now, but I feel like the brakes have kind of just been hit here.
Yeah, they absolutely have. And we saw the comms check-in where Fudge is saying, hey, we need to keep playing through side lanes. And that, I think, is where the Pantheon can still really shine, right?
Okay.
And I feel like they are underplaying towards sides. They just kind of started grouping and team fighting, but you're just playing into this death ball comp that LYON has, which is so incredibly powerful. There's so much AoE CC, there's so much AoE damage that it's very, very difficult to just kind of walk straight into them and fight. So I would love to see them continue to push outside lanes, try to find picks. You know, as LYON moves between lanes, that's where the Grand Starfall can come in. That's where the Realm Warp can come in, and you can maybe catch someone off and get a pick. Because otherwise, yeah, that gold should have been probably on someone else. It's not like it's Contract's fault for taking every kill. We were mostly just joking about that, but the pressure is on him for sure. When you have 7 early kills on a Pantheon, you got to be the one that's taken over.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the enemy Azir has 6 kills.
Got a hat.
Playing death ball like you're talking about. I will take Hat, Nashor's, Rylai's, Empowered Boots Azir over Pantheon.
Over Bread.
Any day of the week. Bread is not required. Azir might as well be immune to gluten or whatever it is.
Immune to gluten.
I don't know the actual right word, dude. Whatever. Azir doesn't care about gluten. He's gluten intolerant or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Realm Warp
into the Baron pit, I would think. Shopify are going to just try to jerk this one down. But yeah, immediately, they already have the Scryer Trinket there from LYON, so they know this is going to happen. Fudge trying to keep everybody zoned away. Shopify has already backed off the objective. I like the attempt, but it's just immediately foiled.
Yeah, I mean, LYON was kind of right beside them when they Realm Warped. I feel like if LYON had been on Dragon and Shopify was, you know, already over in mid and then Realm Warp, maybe it's more likely to work, but LYON was just way too close. They did get the Ash Arrow out at the very least, though, and we'll see if they can find an angle to engage, because Inspired's pretty split from Saint.
Yeah, Saint gets away for now, still trapped in the Ruined Prison, but he does have Isles right next to him. So the Azir kept alive. Zinni wants to ghost, chase after these guys a little bit, but he won't get a whole lot of value out of it here just yet. Fudge continuing to frontline for Shopify. Contracts off on the side, looking for his opportunity to use the Grand Starfall. Remember, it's 2-1 in the Drakes, favoring LYON. If they can get this one, it's going to guarantee them soul point. As they've aggroed the Dragon, DPS is very slow, though. Dokla hanging off on the side. Contract still looking for that ultimate entrance. Shopify now have the Dragon aggro themselves. Everybody is so cautious on this one. Over the wall, goes Inspired here with a blast cone, but Contracts is ready to try to focus him down. Inspired staying alive for now. Contracts has to flash back away. Inspired still waiting and looking. Gets back over the wall here with his own flash. Zinni's going to be targeted by Dokla. The arrow flies out. It forces the stasis. Zinni's still alive for now, but immediately LYON is ready to try to collapse. But Zinni goes in a killing spree. Inspired is already down. Now Isle's going to be your next target. Fudge and Contract putting in the work. Contracts takes the kill. Saint zoning Seos away. Zinni is the only one dead here on the Shopify Rebellion side. Saint still looking for something, but there's nothing to find. Shopify have total control over the Drake pits, and they will secure that Cloud Drake for themselves. Saint is still hanging around. Contract gets flipped back, but Saint will not find a kill. He gets the Guardian Angel at least. Fudge now getting torn apart by the focus fire from Berserker. Contracts ultimately dies, and Shopify lose 2 more on the back end of the fight. What a mess!
They get the Dragon, but look at the death timers. You're going to have both the Seraphine as well as the Wukong back up. You can take the mid-tier 1, and then you can even potentially go to Baron with 30 seconds still on to Pantheon and the Scion. And I think that's going to be the call because there's no Grand Starfall. There's no Scion Ultimate either. So I don't even know if they can get there fast enough.
Yeah, that felt just really wacky, man.
It was a weird fight. I mean, there were skirmishes on all sides, a lot of things going on in that fight. It felt like it just broke down into 1v1 here, a 2v2 there, a 3v3 here, you know, all these different skirmishes. But at the end of the day, Shopify lose out big time. Yeah, they get the Dragon, but LYON get the Baron and a lot of these kills here. And we have to watch it one more time. You know, Contracts decides to go in pretty early here onto Inspired as he catches him trying to move over towards that Dragon. Zinni was fighting Dokla on the other side. Inspired gets low, but Contracts doesn't have the rest of his team with him, so he has to immediately flash back out. And now this is where it kind of gets wacky because Berserker and Saint are zoning back B-Boy. Zinni then is in this 1v2. Him killing off Inspired was actually really, really big, but look at Fudge. B-Boy is not hitting at all. Saint just walks past Fudge. And meanwhile, the front line here from Shopify are kind of just getting pelted while Saint is in the back line just being so chaotic here. And I love how confident Saint played. Watch the buffer on this Emperor's Divide right on the stun there from Contracts, then shifts out as the bubble lands. Dokla comes back from base with the teleport. Berserker's still full health, and now they can just charge on in, and that is just great utilization of the health bar that Saint had, right? He knew he could actually play in that position. Even if he dies, you're still going to win the fight and probably get the Baron, and look at the damage he got done. Yeah, initially, I was a little bit worried. I was like, Saint, why are we hanging around here, brother? The fight feels like it's already lost, but there's a reason he's playing, and I'm talking about it, because he has so much of an understanding of what his champion does, what his limits are, and he made that into an absolutely phenomenal swing for LYON, who are now 3,500 gold ahead, but now Contracts makes his entry into the fight, going after Isles, but that doesn't matter. Isles survives, Contracts already down, B-Boy dies next, Fudge is on the flank, but who cares? The Scion to the back line doesn't matter when you've already lost your jungler and your AD carry. I think this is just the end of the game. It looks like it is the end of the game. It's 5 members here from LYON with the Baron buff in the base. No shot for Shopify. Yeah, Shopify Rebellion, they tried to make their move, and that move did not work. LYON, they struggled in the early game, but they pulled it back. Contracts' early kills in the Pantheon, again, will not translate into a win. Saints Azir, the hero of the day, here in game number 1, 18-15. It was a bloody battle, but LYON take the first game. Nicely done there by LYON. Huge game from Saint. And I feel like my favorite parts of the split. But before we get to that part, we got to decide which of these teams are going to be participating, who's going to be competing, who's going to be fighting for the opportunity to represent us internationally at MSI. And right now, LYON is up 1-0 over Shopify. And even though Shopify lost game number 1, they were in a great spot for the early game. It just really all came down to that bottom side river fight, where Saint got the triple kill, and then the Azir train never stopped. Yep, they got very far ahead off of that for Saint. I mean, he was really, really strong throughout that game. I will say, you know, I think Shopify, a lot of it was kind of about fight selection too. You know, they created the really big lead by attacking side lanes, by, you know, finding these little plays, and then it felt like they just kind of stopped doing that and said, all right, we have our lead now, it's time to 5v5. And LYON played out the 5v5s better. They had a really strong kind of death ball style comp that was very effective in the 5v5s. And I feel like Shopify, instead of continuing to play through sides and just continuing to look for picks and kind of slowly grinding their advantage out in that way, just wanted to straight up force those 5v5s. It did not work out. So now I'm curious to see what the pivots will be here in draft.
Okay, well, Shopify have elected to go for first pick, so LYON is playing from the blue side. LYON banning away the Ori, the Nocturne, and the Karma. Over on the Shopify side, we've got Varus, Nautilus, and Xin Zhao banned away. As first pick, Bard for Shopify comes in.
Yeah, Bard's going to be very highly prized here. I always find it interesting. I mean, Bard is a strong laner, and yes, Seraphine is gone, Nami is gone, Karma is banned, so it is kind of seen as one of those really high prio laners. And I think people do prefer it above the Lulu, but we might just have Lulu Yunara as the response because that is kind of the next Enchanter duo that we have available. And quite honestly, it's just Enchanters these days. Like, that is it. I mean, you look at all the most played champions, that is pretty much all that is being played in support. You know, at the most picked right now, it's Lulu, then Seraphine, then Bard, then Karma, then Nami, and then beyond that, you can start getting some of these more like engaged champs or poke champs like Nico and Nautilus and so on. But yeah, it is pretty heavily dominated by Enchanters. So those are the two of the top 5 that were not banned or taken away, and so that's what you're getting, buddy.
Okay, you've got pick stats. How about some win stats? Because they just came up on our screen. Yunara is 1-6. Lulu is 0-6. These two champions are the two cheeks of the same butt. Both of them are terrible in the way that they've been played in North America so far. I'm not saying they're objectively bad.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that in North America, this has not worked. Now, whether or not that's about their priority in the draft, whether or not that's about how teams play around them, I don't care. I'm focusing on the results, and the results are Yunara Lulu has not been winning games. So what I'm looking at for LYON now is, how do you change that?
Well, you try to not get stomped in the 2v2 by Caitlyn and Bard, because that is going to be the question, right?
Yikes.
I think that is generally how a lot of the lanes are decided, you know, for Yunara Lulu is, okay, so when we go back to lock-in, I feel like people were not playing properly against Yunara Lulu, and they were always getting caught by these level 1 extended trades where, you know, the Q gets stacked for Yunara, and you're going for this trade, and then all of a sudden, they pop heal for a speed up, and they take this long extended trade with the Q stacked and with lethal tempo, and teams would just lose the lane to Yunara Lulu level 1. And teams got more and more comfortable playing against that, disengaging it, playing around the Q stacks, and now Yunara Lulu is not able to very frequently get a good level 1, and that just means that you kind of lose your big point of strength in the early game. So after that, I feel like it's just about loss mitigation. You're not going to be able to actually beat the Bard and the Caitlyn in a lane where they don't give you that free level 1 or free extended trade. So it's going to be about dodging as many skill shots as you can, keeping your health high, keeping your farm high, and waiting for Inspired or someone to come bail you out. It's about the team fighting. And so I think that's the question, is can they actually just kind of hold on in that 2v2 where B-Boy and Seos are going to be trying to snowball this. They're going to be trying to constantly look for plays, you know, Qs into traps, Tempered Fade into traps, you know, looking for these kill opportunities.
And remember that B-Boy and Seos had a good laning phase against the Ashe Seraphine in the previous game, right? Like, their Corki Nami was putting in some work up until the fateful bottom side river fight happened. We do have parity in our first 3 picks this time around. Last time it wasn't entirely mirrored, this time it is. So it's all solo lane bans here in the second half of the draft. Mbessa and Aurora banned out by Shopify, LYON getting rid of TF and Annie.
And a big part of their success in that 2v2 was that Contracts ganked early, and then Contracts and Zinni moved down and ganked again later, right? And we're able to get the kill after that. And Contracts is on a really good early ganking jungler once again. He had Pantheon last game, this time he has Jarvan, so we'll see if he's going to be able to get anything done with that. Akali, it feels like it actually could be a Akali here, even though Akali Blind is pretty rare because of the bans. And so yeah, TF is banned out, Annie is banned out, and they're kind of just saying, you don't really have a good counter from this point. We'll see if Zinni is going to prove him wrong. Vex would be really interesting because you can actually fear Akali in the Shroud. I don't know that they would have the confidence to actually lock this. It depends how practiced Zinni is on the pick. But is a cool option here. And I think could synergize well with the Jarvan. We're actually going to get it. So first time so far, this split. Vex is not a common pick whatsoever.
I forgot she was in the game. I'm looking up the name of her abilities right now. League Wiki Vex.
I mean, Vex is barely played at all globally. There are some players who kind of have a Vex pocket pick, and they bring it out from time to time. But this is the first game this split period, like, you know, in the LCS, and let's see globally if it has been played much this split. Yeah, no, not at all. 0 games that I see globally.
All right, I feel better about
not even just top 4. Not even just top 4, like period in any of the regional leagues or anything. So it is not played a lot at all. In lock-in, you know, whatever you want to call that, like for the other leagues, everyone had their own name for it. Yeah. But it was played a handful of times, but still not at all in those top leagues. So Vex, definitely a deep pocket pick. Going to be excited to see how Zinni does against Saint. This is cool. If he has kind of like a secret pick here prepared for an Akali, I'm down for it.
Especially, like you're saying, this pick that is almost never played for any reason ever. If this is the secret sauce to counter the Akali, okay, drop it. Let's see what's going on. Because we talk about Saint popping off in game number 1, but it was a very even game state between Zinni and Saint up until that bottom side fight where Saint got hyper accelerated.
Yep, and Zinni does have 2 games of Vex in his career, 0 and 2 on the pick, but doesn't really mean that much. It's just 2 games.
Yeah, the sample size
is almost nothing, right?
Yeah.
You know, when people bring out Vex, it had generally been, people for a while were trying to use it as an answer into LeBlanc and just generally dash champs, right? Because of how the passive interacts, where you get the kind of powered auto when people are dashing around, and obviously having the fear to be able to answer when a champion like LeBlanc or Akali jumps in, and you can hit them with that fear is quite powerful. I will say, though, I don't know if their dive is going to be enough to actually get through the Lulu and actually burst down someone like the Yunara. And I'm kind of like, who is your target besides Lulu or Yunara? It's like really just Yunara is the main one for your ultimate. And when you're in a situation like that, it always feels hard in a team fight, right? It's like you have to shoot it around Dokla. And yeah, you could hit Saint, but if he hits Shroud at the same time, even if he's feared, you're not really killing him there.
You gotta curve the bullet to always hit the 80 carry.
Yeah, and that always feels tough because Berserker can flash it, Berserker can RE and dash out of it. So we'll see how effective it's gonna be, because sometimes you bring out this counter, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna slam him in the 1v1. You go up 20 CS and then you can't play the team fights at all because your champion sucks.
Yep, it's something we'll have to keep our eyes on alongside this bottom lane here with the Caitlyn Bard, like you're talking about. Can Yunara and Lulu mitigate the losses that you're expected to take against this powerful laning duo? But in game number 1, it really did all come down to the mid laners. I feel like the fact that Saint got ahead and then just became this absolute monster as the game went on. His Azir just defined the team fights. The fact that he stuck around that dragon fight, that 4th dragon fight where he ends up baiting Shopify into 2 extra deaths, and then they end up taking the Baron right after. He just, like, Saint had an awesome game.
Yep, and Saint felt very confident, said on the Shopify Rebellion podcast, I don't remember losing to Zinni, trust me. So definitely, Zinni saying that about Saint, you know, feeling very confident about the matchup. Zinni was extremely hyped up, you know, from the LCKCL, had a lot of success there, so obviously is a strong player and still just looking to kind of find his footing. We've had a number of players like this coming over, and some of them have, you know, some immediate success, some of them takes a while, so it'll be interesting to see how Zinni progresses, but Contract's able to get a nice little invade, and Inspired just has to back it up because he was still level 2 and Contracts is level 3.
Level 3 versus level 2 is quite a power discrepancy, so Inspired just immediately chooses to retreat, loses his red buff to Contracts. It's a nice early start there for the Jarvan. And meanwhile, bottom lane, a good binding there from Seo sets up B-Boy to put some damage into Berserker's health bar.
Yeah, Berserker was looking for that aggressive trade like I was talking about. He got the Q stack, they pop the heal from Isles, he runs in, but he gets tagged by that binding from Seos as that fight was expiring, and then being able to hit the 90 caliber net, setting up for the headshot. B-Boy gets a really big trade back. They force the barrier. That is big, as now they have the additional summoner advantage. And Contracts did a really interesting path as well. He did all small camps to get down there super fast. So he did Raptors, Wolves, and Gromp, and then crossed and met him at his red. So pretty creative pathing here from Contracts, and something you'd love to see.
Yeah, and he finds the max range EQ onto Inspired there as well. He takes the crab and just immediately decides to brawl with the enemy jungler. Inspired forced to flash over the wall as Contracts keeps the pressure on.
Nicely done. Contracts also spotting him on that ward, so he's able to push him back and getting that flash out. I will say this split feels oddly familiar to the start of LYON to me.
Okay.
You know, when we were starting off, you know, LYON came in and a lot of people were thinking, okay, LYON could be pretty good. Some people were thinking, oh, they might not be that hot in lock-in. But they started out, they were having their struggles. They were picking up some losses. Back in lock-in, I also remember very clearly a series against Dignitas where they kind of squeaked by. They did lose a game. They needed a heroic performance from Inspired against Photon's Kennen to actually even be able to take that series, or otherwise they would have lost it. And that was even Dignitas with the sub-bot lane at that point during lock-in. And then they come into the second split. Obviously, they dominated in playoffs. So I think a lot of people were expecting that LYON would just come in and just be stomping everyone again, right?
Right.
And be in that
dogs.
peak playoff form. But I do think they have stumbled a little bit. You know, it's not a big concern. It's only a couple weeks in, but they did lose to Cloud9, and then they did drop a game against Dignitas. So they have not been as dominant as we were expecting. And even game one against Shopify, they got pretty far behind. And for a team whose early game was even looking really good at first stand against some of the best teams in the world, I am a little bit surprised to see that their form is looking a little bit different.
And funny enough, it's kind of this sort of global phenomenon, the first stand hangover, right? You look at the teams that represented their regions, like BLG, who ends up winning the whole thing, right? Like, you've got G2 over in the LEC. I mean, G2 also has shenanigan regular seasons in general, and then they turn on in playoffs.
But Gen G and G2 are losing some too.
Right, yeah. It's just like everybody who went to first stand kind of just has this debuff on them that they have to shake off.
Well, Seos is going to be looking mid here. Saints should be fine, but you know, and if you didn't catch the interview that I did with Inspired earlier, his explanation was kind of, you know, that they're trying new things. He was saying we wanted to try to play more chaotic, and they want to try to play a game, you know, where there are crazy things happening, because his thought process was, hey, we played really well when the games were controlled, and when things started going bad and it was really chaotic, it was hard to make these decisions really quickly. And so that was kind of his explanation, that they're trying to play a little bit of a different style. And so that's interesting. You know, if they want to play a little bit more fast, a little bit more loose, and try to get more comfortable when the game is not necessarily fully in control, I think that's worthwhile. You know, it's a long regular season here in spring, and if they're confident that they're going to be able to, you know, lock in when they need to lock in, then hey, there's nothing wrong with experimenting a bit in the first couple weeks.
As long as you make sure you get there.
Yep.
As long as you don't get eliminated before the playoffs, but I'm not really worried about that for LYON, to be quite honest with you. Contract stops by the mid lane there. Again, they're just trying to keep Saint sweating, trying to keep him aware, but the Akali is not that pressured still, has half the health bar remaining, not forced to use the flash or the ultimate to escape.
No, and he's pretty much dead even as far as CS. In fact, he's a little bit ahead so far. So Saint looking comfortable in the matchup, even though Zinni was able to bring this out. And just going to be, it's going to be exciting. I mean, anytime you bring out a pick like this, I feel like the story of the game becomes about it, right? Because people are going to talk about it. People are going to have their opinions on whether it was a good pick, a bad pick, you know, what you should be doing or should not be doing. There's not a ton of solo queue data in this matchup simply because Vex is just barely played. But it is an over 58% win rate of Vex against Akali in solo queue, which is pretty astronomical. And
over how many games? 58?
About 1,000.
Oh, okay.
And it's an over 9.6% higher win rate against Akali than the average champion.
Okay, so it is a good pick into Akali.
At least in solo queue, very successful against Akali.
Okay. Well, Shopify is going to go ahead and begin the first Drake of the game here for themselves, and it really doesn't look like LYON have a whole lot to say about it. The bottom lane has rotated over. Zinni has control over mid, so Contracts will pick that one up for free.
Yep. All things said, a pretty slow early game. I feel like LYON are going to be pretty happy about that, you know, given that mid lane got counterpicked, given that bot lane, you know, is kind of supposed to be prio for Bvoy and Seos.
Yeah. This
is the kind of lane that I think can spell a successful Yunara game. Of course, it does not guarantee that you just win because you win even in lane, but, I mean, you're only down under 200 gold to the Caitlyn right now. I think you're pretty happy about that. You also have an early cull, so really that gold lead is basically nothing. By the time you cash out, it's going to come right back to you. So
yeah.
I think Berserker and Isles have done well to just keep it as close as possible, and Bvoy and Seos need to try to keep pushing the pace. They're going to be moving up here. And having the Caitlyn move out towards Grubs, which is super atypical. Normally people do not put a high prio on Grubs at all. Maybe they're expecting there to be more of a contest here, because this is basically everyone from Shopify in the area. Now Caitlyn is heading down towards bot, but just surprised.
Yeah, they put a little bit of burst there
Good
onto
flash.
Saint, but now immediately Inspired goes in after Zinni. Shopify trying to rally around their mid laner. Zinni staying alive for now, but the burst is coming through. First blood for Inspired. Saint's got to be careful, trying to get away. Cannot find himself over the wall as Inspired falls. Saint's about to die here too. Wants to try to escape, but where in the hell is he even going to go? Sure, he can flip over the wall. Gets through, but a magical journey. The blast cone. How long has it been since someone damaged him? Tempered fit. All right, he's dead.
Not long enough.
Nope. Contracts takes him out. Shopify comes out on top 2-1.
A bit of a wacky roam there from the Caitlyn, but it ends up kind of mattering. You know, at the end of the day, he does get involved. The question is, even with him getting involved and going up +1 on the kills, was it worth it? And my answer would be no, because direct your eyes to the mini-map. Look at the bot lane. You are losing this whole wave. He lost 2 plates as well. So even though B-Boy is over here, he pops the ace in the hole, goes on over to the fight, and LYON realizes, oh crap, like they have an extra member, we can't actually continue the fight. So they do eventually lose 2 men, but it's Yunara on the other side of the map who took down 2 plates, who denied at least a full wave of CS, and now Berserker went from down 200 gold to up 100 gold. You did get that +1 kill. It's
and
both
first
on
blood.
Contracts. Exactly, first blood as well. It keeps it pretty even, so I don't know. I feel like despite the fact that it was that extra kill, I think it was actually better for LYON.
Yeah, having the first blood bonus plus those plates that you're talking about, and especially for the AD carries, like we're mentioning, Berserker on the Yunara wants to scale, wants to be more powerful. You already mentioned the Cull being that sort of alleviator for the advantage that the Caitlyn might have in the early game. Well, what happens now when Berserker hits his quest earlier?
Exactly. I mean, this is the thing. You know, yes, it's a trade-off, right? Because Contracts got some gold. You know, there is some positives for Shopify for sure. But I just feel like if I'm playing Yunara, if I'm playing some sort of scaling champion, Yunara, Zeri, Jinx, whatever, and I'm in a lane that is really hard, and my lane opponent roams, I am just so happy, right? Like you are out of jail. Because in these kind of matchups, you're just trying to survive, and every minute that passes, every wave that passes without you getting slammed is one that is closer to you outscaling your opponent.
Yep, it's another tally in your column, right? That's the nature of the game for scaling champions. Up there in the top side, things are pretty even between Dokla and Fudge here on the Gnar versus Renekton, 2 of those evergreen top lane champs. I don't really expect either one to slam the matchup here, but I am looking forward to when they get involved in the team fights. I'm looking forward to hopefully getting a fight for the Rift Herald here in about 4 minutes or so, because I want to see how these two can affect those team fights. MasterCard Power Spike complete there. Sundered Sky for Inspired. Even though Contracts got the 2 kills in the fight, Inspired got the first blood like we already mentioned, so it's still just a slight advantage for Contracts in terms of the money as Shopify look to make their move on Saint. They catch him out there. Nice Cosmic Binding, locks him into the wall. Contracts sets it up and takes yet another kill. Isle's going to be their target next. Wild Growth on himself to stay alive. Contracts charges forward here with another EQ, and Zinni grabs the kill, but now he's under pressure. Shopify trying to get something here more as Inspired's down to 200 HP. Contracts picks him up. Berserker still fighting. Flashes over the EQ. He takes out B-Boy. Berserker is standing and fighting, and Contracts is about to drop. Isaac, I think Yunara's online.
Yeah, you can say that again. Last game,
I think Yunara's online.
Last game, it was a triple for Azir. This game, it is a triple for the Yunara. And Shopify, the initial play is cool. Look how they save the fear to be able to actually combo with the binding for the Bard, then the knock-up from the J4. But this is the problem. Your eyes are on Isles. You're chasing past the Yunara. Watch Yunara in this fight. Does get CC'd initially, hit by the Tempered Fate, bound up, but then everyone is attacking Inspired, and Berserker is just free-firing throughout this. B-Boy on the side is able to finish off Inspired, but then Berserker has killed off one, flashes past that flag and drag, has the barrier, knocks down B-Boy, Dokla arrives, Contracts is gonna die too. That is the role quest complete. That is a triple kill. That is Berserker getting ridiculously ahead.
Kangas is, Steven.
Not now, Steven.
He's not.
We're trying to watch League of Legends.
He's not taking it very well. Raz, take him to the meeting. He's got some demons
that
to work through.
man needs help.
He's got some stuff to work through. Isles, however, working with Berserker, the Yunara Lulu combo. I talked about how bad the win rate is so far, but Lion's looking to fix that now. Seos gets away over the wall. Berserker being kept alive here with a wild growth. Has to use the ulti E to get back out of the Cataclysm as Shopify continues to look for more. Fudge has showed up. Berserker's going to be the target. Fudge goes in, Call the Meek for the initial damage, but B-Voy picks up the shutdown. Huge there for Shopify.
Yeah, really nicely done. Fudge obviously wanted to donate that to B-Voy. Got a little bit nervous, I think, that, oh, wait, is he going to get away?
Yep.
So went back for it, but the kill does go to B-Voy, which is important. You got to keep this Caitlyn relevant. Shopify battling back. And we're able to punish the fact that Berserker did not have sums. I will also say someone should have blocked the ace in the hole onto Berserker. You do not want him taking all of that random damage.
Yep.
Because if you actually block a little bit more damage for him, he could maybe stay in the fight, and then it's a very different look in that actual skirmish. Berserker, though, still closing in on cashing out of this call. He's going to be able to get this full wave because the cannon is tanking it up.
Yep.
Only 18 more minions to complete this. His lead was diminished there, but he is still up, 900 gold, and he's going to be up a good 1,000 plus easily here within those next couple waves as he cashes out the call.
And it's what you were talking about earlier. The fact that he's got a lead at all, you're just relieved. You're happy. You're going up against a Caitlyn that's supposed to be knocking down your tower, rotating to the other lanes at this point to continue doing that there as well. But we're 20 seconds away from the Rift Herald spawning. And this is what I said earlier. I want a team fight over this. I want to see everybody posturing, trying to control the vision, getting ready to fight for this one. Dokla jumps in after Zinni, however, immediately feared as he tries to land that crunch. Wants to continue the chase because he's got Saint behind him. They know if they can kill off this Vex, it would be exactly what they need, but the Mega Gnar misses. Zinni still takes a chunk of damage. However, Dokla also knocked down to about half HP. No teleport available on Zinni's Vex, so he's going to go back to base, heal up. Inspired has already started up the Rift Herald as the Tempered Fate from Seos does not hit a target in mid lane.
Yeah, Berserker gets sped up and is able to just kind of walk out of that. Trying to get back towards the tower. Nice traps from B-Voy, but he's able to just fit in between them and kind of just slides through. But in that bot side, Renekton has just been pushing. No one has answered Renekton for a long time. He took down the tier 1 bot, and he's been working on this tier 2 for a while now. And finally, we're going to see someone go down there and actually answer as Dokla's going to be fighting him.
Yeah, Dokla goes after him immediately. Lands a couple of procs of the Hyper as Isles rotates through. They might really commit to trying to get a kill onto Fudge here, but Contracts and Seos are both nearby. Polymorph onto the Dominus Renekton. As Fudge goes on a magical journey, Seos has to flash over the wall, keeping himself alive for now. Mega Gnar back into that same terrain he flashed over, though, and LYON get their pick.
They do get their pick at the end of the day. Seos, though, makes sure that it is just a support kill instead of actually turning into a kill on Fudge. Kind of gave his life to save the Renekton, to be honest. He throws down the magical journey to get him out, drops a health pack on him to give him a little speed up, and even with the flash, it does end up going down at the end of the day. And there is the call cash-in, so 1.4k gold lead now for Berserker. He's going to have his second item done here in a hurry, and that is a very big spike for Yunara. Once you're on 2 items, the power really starts to ramp up, and Zinni going for a build that I will say is pretty unexpected for me, going Blackfire Torch. I just kind of assumed it was going to be full-on burst, Luden, Shadow Flame, that type of kind of build, and we'll see how this does work out, because I just kind of struggle to see what Vex does if you're not one-shotting someone.
Yeah, well, Inspired jumps in for a quick burst here onto Fudge. Doesn't get a whole lot of damage, but he lets him know that he's here, and that gives enough space for Dokla to just take down this tier 1 turret here in the bottom lane. Obviously, each side has already lost a turret thus far, so it's not like you're going to get the first turret bonus, but you're still opening up the map a little bit further. You're allowing Dokla to continue to push, continue to take resources. You can see Contracts going for a back in that Vibe Rush near the top side here at the same time.
Hex Optic C44 for the second item here. A bit unexpected for me from Berserker. Almost always you just see the Fiend Hunter bolts. But yeah, I mean, this item is just OP. I feel like it was OP even before the buffs, but people just kind of finally realized it after the buff. It is so easy once they reduce the maximum range needed to 500 to actually get that 10% damage bonus from it.
Oh, yeah, you're always getting it.
Exactly. You're pretty much always getting it. And I believe they also made it cheaper in one of the patches. So this item is just super, super strong now. The Fiend Thunderbolt's, though, obviously really synergistic with Yunara because it's really all about when you pop your ult and going in for that initial burst can be quite powerful. But this is obviously very strong. Could go towards IE next. I don't really feel like you need Armor Pen just yet because there's not really much being stacked up besides just that one tabbies on the top side from
Yeah,
Fudge.
Protection's got shoes, but that's about it. There's no true tank on the enemy team. 2 bruisers are the entire front line as Shopify wants to make a move on to Saint, but he kind of just walks away from it. TP also coming in there from Fudge, but it feels like Shopify did a whole lot for a whole little.
Yeah, I think it was actually LYON trying to jump onto Zinni at first because Saint was waiting in the brush behind him and Inspire was coming in. But then once the TP comes through from Fudge, they say, okay, no, we don't actually want this. So they get the TP commitment from Fudge. That means Dokla gets a plate, and that means LYON just kind of walk out of there scot-free with one less man on that side of the map. And now it's going to be up to this dragon fight here. It is Ocean Soul. Shopify got the first 2 dragons. They want to continue stacking towards this, and LYON will have to try to retake through traps potentially, which can be difficult.
Well, Dokla has established himself in this Ocean Rift brush with a control ward. Jarvan Flag in there is going to see the control ward now as the Rift Herald is summoned up by Inspired. I expect this to be a battle, Herald. Let's see where it goes. Cupcakes blocking off the escape route there on the ramp. Berserker fires a shot into Seos, but Fudge is going to be the focus here at the very start of everything. Has to flash away, keeping himself alive for now as Inspired is also going to be bursted. It's a 1-for-1 here at the very beginning, but now Seos falls 2-for-1, favoring LYON, making a 3. His Contracts flashes for nothing. Dokla barely staying alive through the headshot as Berserker again, the aggressive flashes to sidestep the enemy damage. Conmei's step underneath the enemy tier 2 turret just shoots him right in the face. Berserker is fearless on the Yunara.
Inspired just kind of flies into the backline. He dies, but he actually created so much chaos, bought a lot of space for the rest of the LYON members. Even though he goes down early, he just uses the Battle Herald here, goes right over the trap, and watch Inspired in the Herald. He's going to drive through multiple members, and then he crashes into the tower, so he does get the shield as he pops out. Zinni instantly fears him. B-Boy's on him. Contracts turns. They do get this kill, but look at Fudge on the other side. He's knocked out of the fight. Berserker is completely untouched during this moment. So yeah, you did take down Inspired. Yeah, he does die. You know, you want to put air quotes for free or whatever, but it bought so much space for Berserker as well as Saint, and then Berserker just flashes over there. Is able to go in with the Conmei step, finish off a double. And you can see Rainover, he is liking what he is watching. Berserker, this is his kind of champ. You know, whether or not, you know, you believe that it's strong right now in this league, when I think of Berserker, I think of Zeri, I think of Jinx, I think of, you know, late game, hyper carry. He is that guy.
He was the pentakill Pikachu, right?
Yep.
Back during Zeri, I feel like every week this guy got another pentakill. When I was looking at the pentakill stats in the league, I was like, all right, is this a real pentakill or is it another Berserker Zeri pentakill? Because these happen literally every single day the man plays the champion. But hey, you were talking earlier about his Fiend Hunter bolts that he didn't have. Guess what? Now he's got them.
There you go. Why not? Just get both. And this is the Tier 1 record for Yunara in Split 2, 24-49. So it's not just an LCS thing where it is struggling. You know, that is rough. That is down, you know, 32 point whatever % win rate thereabouts for the Yunara. But it's looking like it's going to be another one in the win column, I think, here.
It is certainly trending that direction. Maybe it's not just butt. Maybe there's something here. Maybe there's a diamond.
A diamond in the butt.
No, that doesn't sound. No,
that's what you were saying.
No, I was going to say a diamond in the rough. No, that is not what I am saying. What you just said is not comfortable or good. That actually sounds horribly painful. Well, as Berserker.
You're the one who brought it up, buddy.
No, I did not bring that up. Berserker got away. He uses his ult into the Conmei step to sidestep.
I'm sorry for supporting my friend and co-caster with his analogy.
That is not what I said.
I'm so sorry.
That is not what I said.
For being with you through the good times and the hard.
The heart.
I couldn't get through it.
Bless it. Okay. Let's. Hey, Saints in the Baron pit. He's getting poked a little bit there by Seos. Yeah, he's just trying to make sure they have control of vision over the area. Lions up 4,000 gold, 22 minutes into the game. It's 10-7. The kills wouldn't lead you to believe that Lion is this far ahead, but man, they're honestly just in such a great spot, and 3/4 of the lead is Berserker's individual advantage over this Caitlyn Bard lane that we thought was supposed to be really oppressive.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was. That was the intent. It did not work out that way, and again, it's really, you know, for Shopify, it's kind of heartbreaking because both games feel kind of the same, where it's going all right, but we might see a fight.
Okay, immediately Contracts jumping in after Berserker. Ace in the hole hits him, and the shutdown's there. Zinni gets the kill, and they take out the Fed enemy AD carry. That is a big pick for Shopify, but what do they get after?
Yeah, I don't know. They can start Baron. They're going to go back in.
Okay, Zinni fires off the second Shadow Surge, but honestly, Saint responds with more damage, and I feel like this is the problem. Yes, you can make that big flashy play. Yes, you can commit all these resources to pick the Fed enemy AD carry, and then you go home.
Yeah.
But
the timing just wasn't there. I mean, it doesn't make it a bad play or anything, but if the Dragon was up, at least you'd be on Soul Point. Unfortunately for them, it just wasn't that timing. But this is obviously what you were looking for with the Vex. You're trying to find that angle where you can snipe out the Yunara, and if Vex can get in on the Yunara and get that one shot, hey, it can definitely work, but that is going to be tough to replicate in another fight for sure. And Inspired will not actually find the Renekton here, who is recalling, and we're just going to be setting up 1 minute here for
but
this
unless
next dragon.
J4 does enter me, they can never kill me. So if someone mark J4, then I can still fight.
all right, that's the name of the game. You got to mark J4, and then Berserker says, I can't die, period.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. He's just calling out. He says, if Contracts can't ult me, I can't die. So that was kind of the call there. But a lot of damage went through. I mean, it was that initial engage from Contracts. Zinni obviously is able to get the fear down on him. And again, the ace in the hole was not blocked. It seemed like it snuck through around the side there. So B-Boy able to bend the bullet and get that one in. It is that 3K gold lead still for Lion. It is on Berserker where they would want it, and he has the summoners available for this next fight. So the question is, do Lion even get contested at this next dragon? Does Shopify feel confident to actually fight here? They're going to TP and look for a pick prior to it, but Saint has spotted it.
Yeah, Saint on the Akali, very slippery champion. Going to continue trying to run, immediately feared. Pops the smoke, continues trying to escape. Another Shuriken flip, wants to turn it around back onto Zinni, but no. The shutdown again goes to the Vex. Zinni 4, 2, and 3 here on this pocket pick, and now it's not the same story as before. It's not just a pick with nothing else you can do right after. They got a 5v4 as the dragon spawns.
It's really nicely played by Zinni as well. He just gets point blank and uses the W to land that fear, make sure he's not going to miss with the Q or something like that.
Yep.
And does get themselves that kill. There's no TP on Saint either, so Shopify going for this. Inspired's in the back of the pit though.
Yeah, Inspired looking to potentially steal this one away. Zinni flashes in the middle of everybody, immediately goes golden right after. Berserker going to be the target here yet again. Flashes away from that Cataclysm, finds the kill to Contract. Berserker is shredding everybody. Shopify lost the plot. If you don't kill Berserker, you don't win the fight. And Lion make them learn it the hard way.
Yeah, they full sent everything for Berserker, but they could not get through to take him out. He had the peeling there from Isles, from Dokla. And I feel like they could have just slow played it and actually taken this, but instead, look at this. Zinni flashes in, they land the fear, insta-McHale's from Isles. The Flag and Drag does not land, the Cataclysm comes through, but then Berserker just flashing back, kiting out Contracts and Fudge. And at this point, there's no tools left for them. Dokla had pinned Zinni, and on the other side, Inspired in a 1v2, kills the Caitlyn off as the Vi. Lion crushed the fight, down a man. They lose 0 members in the one fight.
Berserker is unfazed by it, but you could see the disappointment on the faces of the Shopify coaching staff. It's just like, okay, if we lost that one, this game's gone.
Yep, that was probably your last shot realistically.
Yep.
And I think, you know, it's a reasonable swing, but they just didn't quite have that full setup. And B-Boy trying to get in there to help out, you know, to finish off the Yunara, but getting soloed out by Inspired. Well, Berserker's able to kite it out on that other side. They just didn't have that perfect setup. I mean, Zinni was missing his ultimate from that side lane pick. You know, if he had that would have been big. Contracts, Flag and Drag didn't actually hit. B-Boy was missing his ult. You know, Contracts is getting kited out. So, you know, when you Flag and Drag and then you have to ult out of that just to reach, you know, like all your spells are down now, right? The only damage you have is just that Flagon Dragon, which is missed already. So your Cataclysm is going to do a couple hundred.
You have Martial Cadence with Sundered Sky.
Exactly. Like you're just not going to have the consistent damage to be able to actually knock down Berserker. Fudge couldn't actually close the gap. Zinni just got CC'd up by Dokla. So well played there by LYON.
Okay, now Berserker going to be the target here yet again, but he has that pocket Lulu who even takes the bullet for him. This is the Yunara Lulu dream. This is what you want. Your hyper carry has scaled to 4 full power items. He's got Infinity Edge now, by the way. And Isles is never more than 300 units away from him.
Yep.
It's such a nightmare for Shopify.
It's like when you see those little kids and they're tied by the rope to their parents. That's the Yunara and the Lulu.
Yeah, exactly. Lulu's on the rope in the
Lulu's on the rope.
On the rope in the Walmart. She is not allowed to go look at video games
Come
while
on,
her
little
mom
buddy.
shops for groceries.
Come over here.
You're going with me, pal. It's time to buy some soup. All right. We've got Fudge trying
Not
to...
even the fun kind, you know? Just like, you're not getting anything with lots of meat in it. It's just some tomato soup, you know?
Yeah, there's none of the noodles that are shaped like dinosaurs or
No.
chickens or anything like that. Just plain old tomato soup.
Or Isles.
Yep,
Stuff
Isles
out
is...
there.
He's just got that little, it looks like a telephone cord with a little like rainbow thing on the end of it. I know what they look like. I remember seeing kids in the Walmart in middle of nowhere, Ohio.
That's Isles.
Yep, Isles is tied to his Yunara mom as Berserker's going to continue pushing the bottom lane. Meanwhile, Dokla is the first one to break into the enemy base just by himself, forcing Fudge back, taking out the tier 3 turret. He's now exposed the inhibitor and he demands attention. Contracts and Zinni both rotating up here, trying to answer the Gnar. Meanwhile, it's a 3-pronged attack. Berserker is taking a little bit of damage here. Mall security has showed up. Apparently, he's hanging out in the store a little too long.
But where is Isles? Right there on the rope.
Right there
where you need him.
Right there in the soup aisle. Saint gets back here in the mid lane. Dokla tries to jump in, go for the Mega Gnar. Finds a slam into the wall. Zinni goes golden, but Seos is already down. Saint grabbing that kill as he gets a double there. Enemy mid laner gone. The Vex win rate is not going up today as Berserker's looking to grab another one here onto Contracts. Killing spree for the Yunara. LYON pick up 4 kills. Fudge teleports 3 feet to his turret because there's nothing else he can do. It's the entire LYON squad. Not a single man died. Pushing on to the Nexus now, 18-9, 30 minutes into the game. This will be the first 2-0 LYON has played in these 3 weeks of spring, and they'll sweep Shopify Rebellion.
Nicely done there by LYON. Showcasing the skill of their carries here. Game 1.